Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to talk about these numbers and the statistics for this incredible March and the winter that we just experienced in today's video. We've been seeing lots in the news and on the telly, in the papers, about the cold weather that we've had this March, but the numbers don't lie, and I'm going to talk about the numbers and put it into a historic context because it really has been quite an incredible March indeed. Now, before I go on video, I just want to talk about the advertisement. I'll usually be a video ad sitting underneath my video player at gazwebbiz.com. Please play us there. You'll be supporting gazwebbiz.com by doing that. So we're going to be using the Central England Temperature Index for this video. And you can find this at the UK Met Office website. The link to it is on my links page. The Central England Temperature is the oldest temperature index really in the world. It goes right way back to 1659. Incredibly long temperature record. As I say, the longest temperature record anywhere on Earth statistically. It's very significant temperature record indeed. And as I say, we're going to be putting this March into context within that Central England temperature record. So this is where we currently stand as of the 25th of March. We're at 3.2 for the month. We're equal with February. We're going to go underneath February any day now, probably today. Tomorrow's update will probably go down to 3.1, meaning that March 2013 will be the coldest month of this winter. Now that doesn't happen very often at all, so let's just have a look at the record going back to 1659. The first thing I want to talk about is March itself, because it looks as though March is going to be the coldest since at least 1962. So here is the year of 1962 with the CET Central England temperature record, and we see that the Central England temperature for March 1962 was 2.8. So we've got about 0.5 degrees to drop further to get to March 1962. So yes, it definitely looks like it's going to be the coldest March since 1962. If it was to come in underneath 2.8, say if it was to come in at 2.7, then it would be a significantly longer time. We would have to go back then to March 1892, which had a Central England temperature. There is 1892, which had a Central England temperature of 2.7. So if we come in at 2.7 underneath the 2.8 of 1962, then it will be the coldest March since 1892. And should we come in underneath 2.7, then we will have to go right way back to March 1883, which had a Central England temperature of 1.9. There's absolutely no chance that we will beat March 1883, so there's no chance of that. But 1962 and 1892 are the two important numbers. As I say, if we get to 2.8, or if we're above 2.8, it will be the coldest March since 1962, a very long time ago, of course. If we was to come in at 2.7, then it would be the coldest March since 1892. Now, how often has March been the coldest month of the winter? Of course, March is a spring month, but how often has March come underneath the Central England temperatures recorded through all the winter months? Well, this is the 2012-2013 Central England temperatures for the winter month. We have 4.8 in December, 3.5 in January, 3.2 in February. So we're definitely going to be underneath the three winter months of 2012 and 2013. And March doesn't come underneath the three winter months very often. For that, we have to go back the last time it happened to the winter of 1948-1949, which I'll just highlight for you there. So there is the winter of 48-49. That had a Central England temperature for December of 5.7, for January of 5.5, and for February of 5.7. And then March 1949 came in at 5.1. Now, that's a mild winter, and when this happens, when March comes underneath when March comes underneath the 3 winter months, when March is colder than the 3 winter months, it nearly always happens because the winter months have been very mild and you get a slightly cooler March. Actually, that was quite a mild March as well, about an average really, but it certainly wasn't a particularly cold March. It's just that the 3 winter months of the winter of 48-49 were very, very mild. So when was the last time that this happened in a cold winter? Because we have had a colder than average winter this month. This winter, that's the unusual thing. Winter of 2012-2013 has been colder than average. When was the last time that March came, was the coldest month of any of the winter months in a colder than average winter? You'll be amazed at how long ago it was this happened. So shall we go back to 1900 and see whether it's happened? Well, no, we've got to go further back than that. So let's go back to 1800 and are we there yet? No, we're not there at 1800. We have to go even further back than that. Unbelievably, we have to go back to the winter of 1886. 1786. Would you believe? We have to go back 220 years or more for the last time that March was colder than any of the 3 winter months in a colder than average winter. So here is, I'm going to highlight it now, the winter of 1785-1786. That had a December Central England temperature of 2.8. It had a January Central England temperature of 2.7 and a February Central England temperature of 3.4. And then March 1786 comes in at 2.1, colder than any of the 3 winter months. But that's an incredibly long time ago. 1785-1786, I say the last time that March was the coldest month of the winter, or colder than any of the 3 winter months in a colder than average winter. Incredibly long time ago, and it just goes to show you how unusual this March is, how incredibly unusual the pattern has been. And when you consider that the start of March, it wasn't particularly cold. We actually had a few days of really quite spring-like weather earlier on this month. So to do this really is quite incredible what's taken place. Now, just quickly going forward to see whether there's going to be any change in April. This is the Arctic Oscillation Observed and Forecast Index. Remember, the Arctic Oscillation is really reflecting the state of the situation over the Arctic. It's not driving the Arctic pattern. It's an index that reflects where we are in the Arctic, and this has been very incredible as well. I've talked about this earlier in earlier videos. We actually went off the scale in terms of the Arctic Oscillation, which is telling us that we went off the scale in terms of blocking. The index had to go down to -6, whereas normally it would stop at -4. Well, we're coming back up, but only very, very gradually, and as we get through to April, we're actually seeing the Arctic Oscillation still running a little bit negative. We're still going to be in around -1 for that Arctic Oscillation as we go through to the start of April. And the forecast is telling us that even going out towards the middle of April, now we're not really seeing signs that the Arctic Oscillation is going positive. And of course, the Arctic Oscillation going positive would tell us that we're losing the blocking over the pole. So certainly the blocking is going to be easing over the Arctic over the next few weeks. We can say that. We are losing a lot of that blocking. It's easing, but we're not really losing it entirely. We're not getting the Arctic Oscillation going positive, and if the Arctic Oscillation, or when the Arctic Oscillation goes positive, that tells us that the blocking really has gone. So certainly there's going to be some form of blocking continuing probably for quite a while in towards April, and certainly the GFS temperature ensembles are telling us that we are likely to be seeing cooler than average conditions continuing for some time to come. We're in the freezer at the moment and likely to stay that way. Then we're going to see an increase in the temperatures in the upper atmosphere. Remember, the red line here is where we should be at this time of year. We're well below that at the moment. We do see a very gradual increase in those temperature ensembles, but we're not really seeing signs of a proper warm-up going on, at least until we get to around the 7th of April, and then we do get some members of the ensemble going much milder as we go through into the second week of April. And that would be my guess, that as we get to the second and third weeks of April, then we probably will see the blocking breaking down properly. We'll start to introduce much milder winds. But certainly for the next week or two, I think we are running below average. Probably not as cold as we are at the moment. We will see the cold lessening as we go towards the start of April, but I don't think we're seeing signs particularly of a dramatic warm-up for the start of April. Having a look at the temperature anomalies for the next week, we're going to be very cold, of course, and most of Europe very cold as well in the blue colours here, indicating all of Europe really is pretty cold. Just in the Mediterranean, we have those temperature anomalies running a little bit above average. As we go out to the second week of April, though, the 3rd to the 11th, then we do start to see signs of an increase in the temperature forecast, but not really mild, not desperately mild, just slight lessening off of the cold. But the cold in March has been really quite incredible. If we go again, just recapping those numbers from the Central England Temperature Index, which remember is the oldest and most reliable temperature index anywhere in the world. It goes right way back to January 1659, and it's very useful to look at. Do check it out and have a look at how cold it was through the Little Ice Age and how it's warmed up. Generally, since around 1850, it's been gradually warming up, but of course that did accelerate through the 20th century. But anyway, it really has been an incredibly cold March. It looks like it's at least going to be the coldest March since 1962, which was the coldest March of the 20th century. Should we come in at 2.7, then it will be the coldest March since 1892, and should we come in below 2.7, then it will be the coldest March since 1883. And you have to go back to the winter of 1948-1949 to find March coming in colder than any of the three winter months, but that was a mild winter, and it was a pretty mild March anyway. The last time we had a March coming in colder than the three winter months in a cold winter was right way back in the winter of 1785-1786. So we can say that March 2013 is going to be right up there statistically with the very depths of the Little Ice Age. And coming after what happened in December 2010, which was also right up there with the depths of the Little Ice Age, it does make you wonder what's going on with the weather right now. That's it for now. Thank you for watching.